Hello again. In a previous video we were thinking about planting the seeds of some fruits and some vegetables, and I was showing you the techniques that I use. Those seeds have now germinated and they've grown. Here you can see that we have some tomatoes, cucumbers, melons, peppers, various other things. We're now going to think about transplanting them, putting them into pots or modules so that they can then grow on. I'm going to show you what I normally do. I'm going to start off with some tomatoes. I'm going to put them into these 9cm square pots. So that all I simply do to begin with is make a hole in each one of the pots. There are many ways that you can do this. I simply normally just use a pencil. So we've got a hole into the top of each one of those pots. I'm now getting the tomatoes and I'm going to loosen the tomatoes and put them into the pots. Again, I'm just using the pencil to loosen the compost, and then I'm taking this particular make of tomato is Shirley. I grow several different makes and I find that Shirley is one of the very best, most reliable. There we go. Okay, so those are 8 tomatoes. I'm now going to put some cucumbers in as well. The cucumbers in this tray, as you can see, they're starting to get just a little bit leggy. They really do need to be transplanted. So we're going to make some holes. Again, we're going to loosen the compost with the pencil. We're going to ease our cucumbers out. Make the holes a little bit deeper, a little bit bigger. Putting them fairly well down into the holes. Okay, that will do for the moment for some cucumbers. Next one that we're going to go on to will be the melon. I'm actually going to use another tray of pots here. So we go on to this one. Again, we will make some holes in the compost in these 9cm square pots. It's just a good general multi-purpose compost which can be bought from a garden centre or an online supplier. And again, we're going to loosen our melons. Pick each one up and carefully drop the melon into the hole. Be very gentle with the little plants and try to avoid damaging them as best you can, but they are fairly tough and they will forgive you if you are a little bit rough with them. Okay then, so that's an example of what we do when we are transplanting. We've done some tomatoes, we've done some cucumbers, we've done some melons. Now each of these is going to go back into a heated greenhouse to begin with, for them to re-establish. Particularly as at the moment in April the nights are actually very cold at times. So they're going to go back into the heated greenhouse initially to establish. They will then be taken out and put into a polytunnel or an unheated greenhouse before eventually being planted into a greenhouse, an unheated greenhouse, about mid-May time. So we're actually going to put them into their very big pots where they're going to grow probably about the middle of May, depending very much on what the weather is like. When they're in an unheated greenhouse, we can obviously cover with fleece if we need to provide some protection. So that's the first part of what I wanted to show you. In front of me here I've also got some vegetables that have grown from seed that again I planted in one of the videos some time ago. Here we've got some Pak Choy, some kale and some spinach. And here we're going to be transplanting them into modules. We've got a seed tray and then there's modules in the seed tray. And what I'm going to do again is to hole in each one of the little modules. Again, I'm using my pencil, but you could use all sorts of other things. And I think we will start off with some of these Pak Choy. Loosen the compost is what I always do. And just take the little Pak Choy. And start to put them in. And at the moment we are being serenaded by the beautiful birds. We have a lot of birds here in our garden and they're enjoying the lovely weather and are serenading us. A beautiful afternoon like this, with the birds serenading us, it really is beautiful working in the garden. It's very enjoyable, it's very therapeutic, being close to nature and growing the plants. As far as the vegetables and fruits are concerned, obviously eventually enjoying the fruits of your labours. The lovely fruits and vegetables that you're able to grow for yourself. Okay, those are a few Pak Choy. Obviously I'm going to finish these off afterwards. Now the Pak Choy initially will go into a heated greenhouse again to get them re-established before then coming into an unheated greenhouse or polytunnel, and probably in there they will be covered over with some fleece initially to give them some protection, and eventually they will then be planted into that polytunnel or unheated greenhouse. The Pak Choy I find don't grow that well in our climate outside, so they will actually be grown inside, probably in the polytunnel, in the soil in the polytunnel. We'll show you about planting those later, and they'll probably be protected with some fleece initially as well. So that's the Pak Choy then. Going to go on now to some kale. So this tray will be for some kale, so we're putting our holes in to begin with. And loosening and teasing. Okay, so that's our start then. I'm going to leave these for the moment and finish them off afterwards. That's the kale. Same sort of idea for the spinach. And again, I will finish those off afterwards. Both the kale and the spinach will probably be put into an unheated greenhouse or polytunnel initially, probably covered over with fleece if there's a chance of there being a frost at night. And then they should be ready to plant out into the garden before too long, but we may need to be prepared to put a fleece over them when they are planted out into the garden initially. Just before I go, I wanted to show you some of the plants that we've got down here that we also planted as seed not that long ago. And so we've got some really lovely peas here that are ready to plant out as soon as the weather is conducive. We've got some beetroot and we've got some lovely lettuce, and over on that end we've got some tomatoes that were transplanted some time ago, not that long ago. They've grown very, very quickly, and they are being kept obviously in the heat at the moment, the tomatoes, but they should be ready about the middle of May, hopefully, to plant out into the greenhouse, so that we should have some really nice tomatoes quite early on in the season. So that gives you just some sort of idea of what we're doing in the garden at the moment. We'll have lots more ideas for you coming up very soon. Thank you.